The cosmos is not the serene expanse we see in pictures. It is a realm of profound and unsettling mysteries. We are about to journey through 30 of the most terrifying space theories, ideas that will fundamentally challenge everything you think you know about reality. By the end, you will possess a new and startling perspective on our place in the universe. What if our entire existence is a fluke in a dying void, or worse, a simulation running on some cosmic computer? Are we truly alone, or is the silence a warning of something far more sinister? What idea about the universe keeps you up at night? That profound silence from the cosmos might be the most important clue we have. It is the heart of the fermiparadox, a simple question with terrifying implications. If the universe is so vast and so old, why does it seem so utterly empty of other intelligent life? One answer to this cosmic silence is a theory so dark it suggests our own extinction could be a universal rule, not an exception. This is the Great Filter. The theory proposes that there exists some kind of cosmic barrier, a developmental wall that is nearly impossible for any life form to scale. This filter could be a single, catastrophic event or a series of them that systematically prevents life from reaching the stars and becoming a galaxy-spanning civilization. The terrifying question is not if the filter exists, but where it is located on the timeline of a species. Is it safely in our past, something we have already miraculously survived? Perhaps the jump from simple prokaryotic cells to complex eukaryotic life was the filter, a fluke of evolution that almost never happens. Or maybe it was our own development of intelligence and self-awareness. If the filter is behind us, we are the incredibly lucky ones, the winners of a cosmic lottery. But the more chilling possibility is that the great filter lies ahead of us. This would mean that the reason we see no one else out there is because every civilization that reaches our stage of technological adolescence inevitably destroys itself. The filter could be the invention of artificial intelligence that turns against its creators. It could be climate catastrophe on a planetary scale, nuclear war, or a technology we have not even dreamed of yet that contains the seeds of its own apocalypse. The silence of the universe in this light is not a sign of our solitude, but a graveyard of countless other civilizations that failed to pass the test we are now facing. This theory reframes human history not as a steady march of progress, but as a race against a clock we cannot see. Every technological leap, from splitting the atom to coding the first strands of artificial life, might not be a step toward the stars, but a step closer to our own universal and inevitable end. That silent graveyard the Great Filter creates might be the universe's ultimate mercy compared to its final act. A far more violent and personal end awaits everything in existence, an apocalypse driven by an invisible force we are only beginning to understand. This is the theory of the Big Rip. It all hinges on dark energy, the mysterious phenomenon causing the expansion of our universe to accelerate. Right now, its grip is loose, its power felt only in the vast emptiness between galaxy clusters. But what if its influence is not constant? What if it grows stronger over time? In the Big Rip scenario, that is precisely what happens. Billions of years from now, dark energy's push will become so overwhelmingly powerful that it will overcome the gravitational glue holding galaxies together. The Milky Way, a beautiful spiral of stars that has existed for eons, will be shredded. Neighboring stars will be flung into the ever-widening void, their light fading into absolute isolation. This is only the beginning. As the force intensifies, it will next target individual solar systems. The sun's gravitational pull on Earth and the other planets will be broken. Our own world would be torn from its orbit and hurled into the freezing, lightless depths of space, but the destruction would not stop there. The force would continue to grow, turning its attention to the planets and stars themselves. A planet like Earth would be pulled apart, mountains and oceans ripped from its core. Then, in the final moments, the force would become stronger than the bonds holding atoms together. Every molecule, every atom in what was once a universe would be violently torn asunder. The very fabric of reality would disintegrate into a thin, cold mist of fundamental particles, forever unable to interact or form anything ever again. This is not an end by fire or ice, but by unraveling. It is a prediction of total and inescapable destruction, where the cosmos itself ceases to be a coherent reality. The clock is ticking on this unimaginable finale, a countdown to the moment when the force that birthed the cosmos becomes the very thing that destroys it. Yet even that total cosmic unraveling would be a slow and distant process. There exists a far more immediate and absolute end, one that could happen at any moment, in the very next second, without the slightest warning. Our universe might be fundamentally unstable, living on borrowed time in a state of precarious peace. This is the terrifying theory of vacuum decay. To understand it, picture the universe not as empty space, but as a field of energy. Physicists theorize our cosmos exists in what is called a false vacuum. Imagine a valley with a small, comfortable dip where a ball is resting. This dip represents our current universe with all its stable laws of physics. But this valley sits high on the side of a much, much deeper chasm. The ball is stable for now, but it is not in the lowest possible energy state. The true vacuum is that deepest point in the chasm, a state of absolute stability where the laws of physics would be entirely different. The horror of this theory is that a single, random quantum event anywhere in the universe could be enough to give that ball a tiny nudge. It would roll out of our comfortable dip and begin its catastrophic fall toward the true vacuum. This event would create a microscopic bubble of true vacuum. Instantly, this bubble would begin expanding in all directions at the speed of light. The wall of this bubble is not a physical barrier you could see coming. It is a wave of fundamental change, rewriting reality itself. As it expands, it would permanently and irrevocably alter the laws of physics. The forces that hold atoms together would cease to function in the way they do now. The very concept of matter as we know it would vanish. There would be no explosion, no sound, no light. One moment reality exists, the next, as the bubble wall passes through, everything from distant galaxies to the atoms in your body is simply erased and rewritten into something completely unrecognizable. Life, consciousness, and the universe itself would end not with a bang, but with a silent, instantaneous correction. We would never see it coming. The wave moves at light speed, so the first sign of its arrival would be the end itself. Our entire existence, our history, our future, could be invalidated in an instant by a random fluctuation in the quantum foam of a universe that was never truly safe to begin with. But if the universe can be erased by a single quantum event, could it also create a mind from nothing? This is not science fiction. It is the deeply unsettling theory of Boltzmann Brains, a concept that questions the very nature of our own existence. It starts with a simple, observable fact. Our universe is incredibly ordered. We have galaxies, stars, planets, and life, all representing a state of low entropy, a high level of organization. Statistically, this order is a monumental fluke. In a vast and chaotic cosmos that tends toward disorder, such a structured reality should be vanishingly rare. So why does it exist? One answer is that over an almost infinite amount of time, random quantum fluctuations can occasionally assemble order out of chaos. Given enough time, anything that can happen, no matter how improbable, will happen. This includes the spontaneous formation of a fully formed, self-aware consciousness. A Boltzmann brain would not be born or grow. It would simply pop into existence, complete with a lifetime of false memories, believing itself to be a real person living in a real world. It would have the sensation of reading these words, of recalling its childhood, of feeling the sun on its face, yet all of it would be an instantaneous, fleeting illusion. The theory leads to a horrifying statistical conclusion. In an eternal and chaotic universe, the number of these isolated, momentary consciousnesses would vastly, overwhelmingly outnumber the number of real, biologically evolved beings living in a sustained, ordered cosmos. Therefore, if you are a conscious being, the odds are astronomically higher that you are a lonely Boltzmann brain, experiencing a phantom reality for a split second before dissolving back into the void, than that you are a real person in a real universe. Your entire life, your memories, your sense of self, could be nothing more than a random and temporary accident. This idea transforms our most personal certainty, our own consciousness, into the most profound and terrifying cosmic doubt. The idea that you are a momentary illusion of consciousness is a profound crisis of reality, but it pales before a theory that suggests your entire world is a deliberate fabrication. The simulation hypothesis proposes that our universe is not a fundamental reality, but an incredibly advanced digital simulation, a kind of cosmic video game being run by a civilization that has mastered technology beyond our comprehension. Think of the rapid progress in our own computing power, from room-sized machines to devices in our pockets that can render entire virtual worlds. A post-human species, thousands or millions of years more advanced, could possess the processing power to simulate a universe as complex as our own, complete with every star, every planet, and every conscious mind within it. The beings running this simulation would be, for all intents and purposes, our gods. The implications of this are staggering. It redefines the very concepts of free will and the meaning of life. Are your choices truly your own, or are they simply the result of pre-written code or sophisticated algorithms predicting your every move? Is your search for purpose and connection just a programmed narrative arc designed to keep you engaged within the system? The most chilling possibility is that the simulation is not permanent. The programmers could decide to shut it down at any moment. An experiment concluded, a power source depleted, or simply a bored user clicking exit could cause our entire existence to instantly and silently cease. There would be no warning, no apocalypse, just a sudden and absolute end to everything we know. This theory forces us to confront a terrifying question. If our reality is a simulation, then what lies outside it, and more importantly, who is at the controls? But if the universe were a simulation, why would its creators make it so vast and seemingly empty? That silence is the foundation for an even more chilling answer to the fermiparadox, one that paints the cosmos not as a graveyard, but as an active and deadly hunting ground. This is the dark forest hypothesis. Imagine a vast, ancient forest plunged into perpetual night. You are a hunter lost in the woods. You hear a twig snap in the darkness. You cannot see what made the sound. It could be a harmless deer, or it could be another hunter far more dangerous than you who has also heard you moving. In this scenario, what is the safest possible course of action? The most logical, rational choice is to remain perfectly silent, to hide and to listen. But if you see a shape moving in the gloom, the absolute safest thing to do is to immediately aim your weapon and fire. The risk of that shape being a threat is so great that you cannot afford to call out and reveal your own position. You must annihilate the potential danger before it has any chance to do the same to you. The dark forest theory applies this brutal logic to the entire cosmos. In this view, every civilization is a hunter hiding in the darkness of space. The universe is silent not because it is empty, but because it is full of life that is too terrified to make a sound. Any signal, any broadcast, any evidence of a civilization's existence is akin to shining a flashlight in that dark forest. It immediately paints a target on your back for any other civilization that might be listening. These other civilizations are not necessarily evil. They are simply rational and paranoid. They operate on what is known as the principle of universal suspicion. They have no way of knowing your intentions, and the stakes are the ultimate stakes, the complete annihilation of their entire species. The technology required to travel between stars or send messages across the galaxy is the same technology that could be used to build planet-killing weapons. A civilization that reveals itself is announcing that it has or will soon have this destructive capability. Therefore, the only safe assumption for any civilization is to treat every other civilization as an existential threat that must be eliminated before it eliminates them. This creates a universe where the first civilization to discover another does not send a greeting but a projectile. It might be a relativistic kill vehicle traveling at a fraction of light speed, or a self-replicating nanotech plague designed to sterilize a world. The attack would be swift, total, and from an unknown origin. Our own efforts to search for extraterrestrial intelligence, our broadcasts into the void, our golden records attached to spacecraft could be the very things that doom us. In a dark forest, the only civilizations that survive are the ones that learn to be absolutely silent, and the ones that are quickest to pull the trigger. Our failure to find anyone else is not a sign of our solitude, but the terrifying evidence that we are surrounded by hunters who have mastered the art of staying hidden. That dark forest is a place of sudden, violent death, but what if death itself is an illusion? Quantum immortality is a theory that turns the most certain event in life into a cosmic paradox. It emerges from the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, which suggests that every possible outcome of a quantum event actually happens, splitting our reality into a near infinite number of parallel universes. Now apply this to your own life and death. Imagine you are in a car and a terrible accident is about to happen. In one branch of reality, the car swerves and you survive with minor injuries. In another, you are not so lucky. According to standard logic, your consciousness would simply end in that unlucky universe. But quantum immortality proposes a bizarre twist. Your subjective experience, the stream of your consciousness, cannot experience its own cessation. It can only continue in realities where you are alive. So, at the moment of the crash, your awareness seamlessly branches into one of the countless universes where you somehow, against all odds, survived. Perhaps a last-second gust of wind pushed the car just enough, or a part miraculously did not fail. From your perspective, you simply experienced an incredibly close call. This logic applies to every single potential fatal event throughout your life. A deadly illness, a falling object, a random act of violence. Each time, your consciousness abandons the timelines where you die and continues on in one where you live. The terrifying implication is that you might be functionally immortal from your own point of view. You will always find yourself in a universe where you have cheated death once again. But this is not a glorious immortality. It is a deeply unsettling one. As you survive more and more statistically impossible near-death experiences, the universe you inhabit would become increasingly strange and improbable. The people around you might seem different as your timeline diverges further and further from the original. You could eventually be the only person left in a world that has been utterly ravaged, yet you continue to live through sheer quantum chance. Your existence would become a lonely, endless journey through progressively more bizarre realities, forever fleeing the silent graves in the universes you left behind. Are you truly alive, or are you just a ghost haunting an endless series of almost identical worlds, never able to find the one where you were supposed to rest? That endless journey through diverging realities offers a strange kind of life, but the ultimate destination for all of them, for every universe, is a final state of absolute and irreversible death. This is the theory of the heat death, often called the zombie universe, a corpse of a cosmos that has long since stopped living. After the last stars have burned out and the final black holes have evaporated into nothingness, the universe will enter its final, eternal era. There will be no more light, no more heat, and no more sources of energy. All that remains is a vast, ever-expanding sea of subatomic particles, drifting further and further apart in the endless, freezing dark. The temperature across the entire cosmos will approach absolute zero, the point where all motion ceases. This is not a violent end like the Big Rip, but a slow, gradual fade into nothingness. Think of a cup of hot coffee left on a counter in a massive, empty room. The heat from the coffee will naturally spread out, dissipating into the room until the coffee is the same temperature as its surroundings. The energy is not gone, but it is now uselessly spread so thin that it can never be gathered again to do any work. The universe is that cup of coffee, and it is cooling in an infinite room. In this final state, time itself becomes meaningless. With no change, no motion, and no events to mark its passage, the concepts of seconds, years, or eons lose all meaning. The universe becomes a static, timeless void. There can be no new stars, no new planets, and certainly no new life. Every process that requires energy, from the nuclear fusion in a star to the electrical impulses in a brain, becomes impossible forever. This is the ultimate triumph of entropy, a state of maximum disorder where nothing ever happens again. The cosmos becomes a ghost, a frozen, dark, and silent relic of a once vibrant existence, a zombie shuffling through an eternity of nothing. Even that frozen, static end to the cosmos preserves a kind of record, a final accounting of every particle and its position. But there is a place in our universe where information itself seems to vanish without a trace, erasing the very story of what happened. This is the black hole information paradox, a conflict that threatens to tear apart our most fundamental understanding of physics. At its heart are two pillars of modern science, general relativity and quantum mechanics, and they give us two completely different answers for what happens when something falls into a black hole. General relativity, Einstein's theory of gravity, tells us that a black hole's boundary, the event horizon, is a point of no return. Anything that crosses it is irretrievably lost, crushed into an infinitely dense point called a singularity. All the information about that object, what it was made of, its shape, its history, is seemingly obliterated. This presents a catastrophic problem because quantum mechanics insists that information can never be truly destroyed. It can be scrambled, it can be transformed, but it must be preserved in some form. You can burn a book, turning its pages to ash and smoke, but in theory, if you could collect every single atom of ash and trace every molecule of gas, you could reconstruct the entire book. The information is still there, just in a different form. A black hole, according to relativity, does not just burn the book, it annihilates it from reality itself. This is the paradox. If information is truly lost in black holes, then our entire understanding of quantum physics is built on a lie. The implications are staggering. It suggests that at the deepest level, our universe might not be deterministic. Cause and effect could break down, and the very history of the cosmos could be fundamentally unknowable. Physicists have wrestled with this for decades. One potential solution comes from Stephen Hawking's own work. He discovered that black holes are not completely black. They slowly leak radiation and evaporate over astronomical time frames. But this Hawking radiation appears to be completely random, carrying no information about what fell in. So when the black hole finally vanishes, the information it consumed would be gone forever. Other theories propose that the information is not lost. Perhaps it is encoded on the surface of the event horizon, a holographic imprint of everything that falls inside. Or maybe the information is ejected back into the universe in some scrambled form during evaporation. We simply do not know. This paradox is more than a technical debate. It is a glaring sign that our picture of reality is profoundly incomplete. Either we are wrong about how black holes work, or we are wrong about the fundamental nature of information and reality itself. The event horizon may not just be a boundary in space, but a boundary for our understanding. If black holes are the universe's ultimate shredders, their theoretical opposites offer a completely different kind of terror. A white hole is conceived as a region of space-time where nothing can enter, only exit. It is a cosmic fountain, endlessly spewing out matter and energy into the universe. While we have never observed one, the mathematics of general relativity allows for such an object, a place where the relentless pull of gravity is reversed into an unstoppable push. The entrance to a black hole is a one-way street inward. The exit of a white hole would be a one-way street outward, a door that cannot be opened from the outside, only from within. This leads to a staggering and unsettling possibility. What if our entire universe, from the initial fireball of the Big Bang to the vast cosmic web we see today, was not a unique creation from nothing, but was actually born from a white hole in a much larger parent universe? In this cyclical model, our cosmos is not the first and only one. It is simply the latest in an endless chain of universes being born and dying. Imagine a vast cosmic tree where each fruit is an entire universe. When a fruit becomes too heavy, it falls and plants a seed for a new tree, starting the cycle again. Our Big Bang, in this view, was not the beginning of everything. It was the moment a white hole in a pre-existing cosmos ruptured and began violently expelling all the matter and energy that would become our reality. This is not a gentle birth. It is a catastrophic eruption from another reality, a cosmic expulsion that forged everything we know. The terror here is not of an end, but of an inescapable cycle. We are not pioneers in a newborn cosmos. We are inhabitants of one bubble in an infinite foam of universes, each living and dying according to rules we cannot perceive. Our entire history, from the formation of the first stars to the rise of civilization, is just one phase in an endless, repeating loop. This theory traps us within an infinite regression of cosmic cause and effect, where every beginning is someone else's end, and our universe is just a temporary eddy in an eternal, unfathomable river. Our own solar system might be hiding a silent partner, a cosmic killer whose gravitational influence has shaped the history of life on Earth. This is the Nemesis star hypothesis, a theory proposing our sun is not alone. It suggests we are part of a binary system, gravitationally bound to a faint, distant companion. This companion is not a bright star, but a dim, cool object, perhaps a red dwarf or a failed star known as a brown dwarf. Its orbit would be immense, taking tens of millions of years to complete a single, slow journey around our sun. For most of its long cycle, this dark twin would be far away, invisible to our telescopes and undetectable in our night sky. But its periodic return would be catastrophic. As Nemesis swings through the outer reaches of our solar system, its gravity would act like a gravitational plow, disturbing the frozen debris at the very edge of our system in the Oort cloud. This vast spherical shell of icy bodies is a reservoir of comets, and the passing of Nemesis would send a storm of these icy missiles hurtling inward. Some of them would be on a direct collision course with Earth. The theory powerfully aligns with the fossil record, which shows a haunting rhythm of mass extinctions occurring roughly every 26 to 30 million years. The most famous of these events, the one that wiped out the dinosaurs 66 million years ago, was almost certainly caused by an asteroid or comet impact. The Nemesis hypothesis offers a chillingly elegant explanation for this periodic cycle of death from the skies, a hidden clockwork mechanism ticking away in the dark, periodically resetting the evolutionary clock on our world. This means the next extinction level event may not be a random accident, but an inevitability written into the very architecture of our solar system, a scheduled appointment with annihilation whose timer we cannot see. This endless branching of reality through quantum suicide presents a terrifying puzzle for your own mind. The thought experiment begins with a simple, if grim, setup. A gun is pointed at your head, rigged to a device that measures the spin of a quantum particle. If the particle spins up, the gun fires. If it spins down, it does not. According to the many worlds interpretation, the universe splits at the moment of measurement. In one branch, you hear a click and live. In the other, the story ends. From the outside, an observer would see both outcomes. They would see a version of you die, but what do you experience? You pull the trigger once and you hear a click. You survive, you pull it again and again and again. Each time you are miraculously still alive. From your subjective point of view, you have just experienced a string of incredible luck. You have survived 100 consecutive 50-50 chances of instant death. An event so statistically improbable it is effectively impossible, yet here you are. This is the core of quantum suicide. Your consciousness is not split. It only follows the path, the branch of reality, where a continuous stream of experience is possible. It must always find itself in a timeline where you are alive to have that experience. The gun will never fire from your perspective, not because you are lucky, but because in the branches where it does, there is no you to witness it. This idea dismantles our understanding of probability. Events we consider random or risky, from crossing a street to undergoing surgery, might not be risky for our conscious self at all. We would only ever perceive the outcomes where we survive. This leads to the bizarre conclusion that you might be functionally immortal, at least from your own first-person viewpoint. You could walk through a battlefield, step on a landmine, and from your perspective you would simply find yourself stumbling, the mechanism having inexplicably failed. But this is not a blessing, it is a profound existential trap. As you survive more and more statistically impossible events, the world around you would become increasingly strange. The people you know might be replaced by near duplicates as your timeline diverges further from the original. You could eventually be the sole survivor in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, living through a series of endless, improbable near misses, forever isolated in a reality that has been bent and twisted just to keep your consciousness afloat. Are you truly alive, or are you just a ghost haunting an infinite series of almost identical worlds, forever fleeing the silent graves in the universes you left behind? The trigger for a false vacuum collapse could be something as small as a single particle receiving just the right amount of energy in the right place. It would not require a cosmic explosion or a divine act. The seed of our universal end could be planted in a high-energy particle collision that occurs naturally in the furious hearts of distant quasars or in the violent aftermath of colliding neutron stars. These cosmic events happening light years away could already have sent such a bubble expanding toward us at light speed, its arrival date already predetermined. But the most immediate and unsettling possibility is that the trigger is not out there in the cosmos, but right here at home, born from our own relentless curiosity. Our most advanced particle accelerators, like the Large Hadron Collider, are machines designed to probe the fundamental laws of reality by smashing particles together at velocities approaching the speed of light. They recreate for a fleeting instant energy conditions that have not existed since the first moments after the Big Bang. The official purpose is noble: to uncover the secrets of the universe. Yet, a small but persistent fear among some physicists is that one of these unprecedented, high-energy collisions could, by sheer infinitesimal chance, be the precise quantum event that nudges our local patch of space-time out of its false vacuum state. In this terrifying scenario, our quest for knowledge could become the instrument of our own oblivion. We would be the architects of a silent apocalypse, initiating a wave of total reality dissolution that would expand outward from our planet at the speed of light, erasing all of creation in its path. There would be no time for regret, no chance to warn anyone. The very moment the bubble formed, it would already be too late for Earth, and for every star and galaxy the wave would eventually reach. Our species, in its drive to understand the cosmos, might inadvertently press the universe's self-destruct button. The logic of the dark forest dictates a terrifyingly simple equation. Any civilization that reveals its location is announcing its potential to become a future threat. The immense technological leap required to broadcast across the stars is the same leap required to build weapons of planetary annihilation. There is no way to send a friendly hello without also signaling a capacity for ultimate violence. In this grim cosmic calculus, waiting to determine a new civilization's intentions is an unacceptable risk. The only safe assumption is that they will eventually develop the power to destroy you, and that their survival inherently threatens your own. Therefore, the most rational, coldly logical action is to eliminate them first. The preemptive strike is not an act of malice, but one of pure survival instinct. It is a grim insurance policy taken out on a galactic scale. The methods of such an attack are as chilling as the logic behind them. A civilization advanced enough to detect our faint signals would have technology far beyond our own. They would not need to send warships. The most efficient weapon might be a relativistic kill vehicle, a simple projectile like a large rock accelerated to a significant fraction of light speed. Striking a planet at such velocity, the energy released would dwarf every nuclear weapon ever built combined, sterilizing the world in a single, fiery impact. Or they could deploy a self-replicating nanobot swarm, a grey goo that would disassemble our entire biosphere at the molecular level, turning Earth into a lifeless husk. These attacks would be cheap, untraceable, and utterly final. This is why our own efforts to actively search for extraterrestrial intelligence, known as active SETI, are so dangerously controversial. Projects that beam powerful, directed messages toward nearby stars are, in the dark forest model, the equivalent of standing in that pitch-black woods and screaming at the top of your lungs. We are advertising our presence to hunters we cannot see, assuming their benevolence based on nothing but hope. Every signal we send into the void could be the one that draws the attention of a civilization that has already accepted the forest's brutal rule, sealing our fate with a single, silent command from the darkness. These glitches in reality are the cracks in the simulation's code. Déjà vu, that eerie sensation of reliving a moment, could be a simple data buffer error, where a present experience is momentarily mislabeled as a memory. The Mandela effect, where large groups of people share a distinct memory that never happened, like recalling a children's book series called The Berenstain Bears when it was actually spelled Berenstain, feels like a collective memory error. It could be the result of a software update that subtly altered historical data, leaving behind a ghost of the old code in the minds of some users. Then there is the sheer quantum weirdness of our universe, where particles can be in two places at once or seem to communicate instantaneously across vast distances. This spooky behavior could simply be the simulation's method of conserving processing power, not rendering the full details of a particle state until it is absolutely observed. These are not just curiosities, they are potential evidence that our world is not the base layer of reality, but finding definitive proof of a glitch carries its own existential risk. What happens when a program becomes aware of its own code? If we were to discover an undeniable flaw, a mathematical inconsistency, or a repeatable physical anomaly that breaks the rules, the beings running the simulation would likely take notice. Their response would not be one of wonder, but of maintenance. They might simply issue a patch, a silent update that corrects the error and erases the anomaly from our reality, along with our memory of ever discovering it. Our moment of ultimate enlightenment would be quietly undone, our progress reset without a trace. An even more terrifying possibility is that a major glitch could corrupt the entire system. If our reality is a simulation, then our consciousness, our very selves, are just data, and data can be deleted. The programmers facing an unstable simulation might decide the simplest solution is not to fix it but to reset it entirely. They could shut the whole thing down and reboot from a saved point, or simply start a new simulation from scratch. In that scenario, our entire universe, with all its history and every life within it, would be terminated. We would not die because we were never truly alive in the fundamental sense. We would just cease to be, our existence rendered a failed experiment, a corrupted file tossed into the digital recycle bin. The search for truth could become the very thing that triggers our final, silent deletion. That profound isolation is the true horror of being a Boltzmann brain. You are not just a momentary consciousness, you are the entire universe. Every memory you possess, from your first childhood birthday to the feeling of reading these words, was generated at random in an instant. The people you love, the world you see, the vast cosmos with its billions of galaxies, all of it is a phantom reality contained entirely within your own fleeting awareness. There is no external world, there are no other minds. You are utterly and completely alone, a single thinking thought in an otherwise empty and chaotic void. You exist for just long enough to believe you have a past and a future, only to dissolve back into nothingness before that future can ever arrive. This is the ultimate solipsistic nightmare, where you are the creator and sole inhabitant of a cosmos that vanishes the moment you cease to perceive it. The universe you think you are exploring is nothing more than an elaborate, self-contained hallucination. Every mystery you have ever pondered, every connection you have ever felt, is a lie written by chance. The silence of the cosmos is not a sign of alien hunters or a great filter. It is the silence of your own empty creation. This theory turns the search for meaning into the most profound cosmic joke, where the seeker, the search, and the universe being sought are all the same temporary, accidental flicker in an infinite sea of disorder. So where does your consciousness go when every possible path leads to the grave? The theory of quantum immortality presents a terrifying paradox when faced with the inevitability of natural death from extreme old age. Up until now, your consciousness has simply navigated to branches of reality where you survive accidents, illnesses, and violence. But what happens when the threat is not external, but internal, when the very machinery of your body reaches its final, universal limit? In every conceivable timeline, your biology has a maximum lifespan, a point where cells can no longer replicate, where organs simply wear out. At that moment, there are no more branches where your body continues to function. There is no improbable quantum fluctuation that can reverse the total and complete failure of your biology from sheer age. According to the logic of the theory, your conscious experience cannot cease, so it must continue. But where can it possibly go when there is no healthy body left in the entire multiverse to host it? This is the inevitable senescence, the final, inescapable trap of a consciousness that has cheated death too many times. Your awareness would be forced to leap into a reality where your body persists, but not as a living, healthy being. You would find yourself conscious within a corpse, trapped in a state of biological death, aware of the decay setting in but unable to move or speak. Or perhaps your consciousness would transfer into a universe so ravaged by time that the very concept of life has ended, a cosmos in the final throes of heat death. You would be a lone, disembodied point of awareness adrift in a frozen, lightless void, surrounded by the expanding carcasses of long-dead stars. This is not life. It is an eternal, conscious imprisonment within the ultimate state of death itself. You would experience the end of everything, not as a participant, but as a ghost chained to the sinking ship of reality, forced to witness the final, irreversible silence of a universe that has forgotten what life ever was. Your immortality becomes the ultimate curse, a sentence to experience the absolute end of all things forever. This is the final, lonely thought in the cosmos. After trillions upon trillions of years, long after the last star has winked out and the final black hole has evaporated into a faint whisper of radiation, a single conscious mind endures. It might be the last member of an ancient civilization, its biological form long since transcended and uploaded into a sophisticated quantum computer. This machine, engineered for near-perfect efficiency, has been running for eons on the last dregs of usable energy, harvested from the faint warmth of dead stars and the residual spin of frozen planets. Now, even that power is almost gone. The mind exists in a universe that is cold, black, and silent. all nearby matter has decayed into a thin, expanding mist of elementary particles, so far apart that they will never interact again. Time has lost all meaning, for there is no change to measure it by. This is the zombie universe, a cosmic corpse, and this consciousness is the last spark of awareness within its frozen heart. The psychological horror is absolute. There is nothing new to perceive, no new data to process, no other voice to hear. The mind is trapped with only its own memories for company, replaying the entire history of its species, from its first clumsy steps on its homeworld to its glorious ascent as a galactic power. It can recall the faces of loved ones, the beauty of alien sunsets, the thrill of discovery. But these memories, once a comfort, have become a torture. They are ghosts haunting an infinite, empty mansion. Every story has been told a billion times over. Every triumph and every failure has been analyzed to the point of meaninglessness. The mind may try to create new thoughts, to simulate new realities, but even that requires energy, a resource that is irrevocably fading. As the final power reserves dwindle, the mind's thoughts will slow. A single calculation that once took a nanosecond might soon span 1,000,000 years. The memories will become fragmented, the sense of self will begin to blur and unravel. In its final moments, stretching across an eternity of subjective time, this last being will experience the ultimate solitude, a sentient witness to the absolute and permanent end of all things, forever alone in the dark with the echo of everything that ever was. Perhaps the most elegant answer to the information paradox is also the most disorienting. The holographic principle proposes that when something falls into a black hole, its information is not lost inside the crushing singularity. Instead, it is perfectly preserved, imprinted like a cosmic tattoo onto the two-dimensional surface of the event horizon. Every atom, every particle, every shred of data about what fell in is encoded there, scrambled across the boundary in the most intricate way imaginable. This solves the paradox by preserving information, but the implications ripple out to redefine the entire universe. If a black hole's entire three-dimensional interior can be described by information on its two-dimensional surface, then perhaps our entire cosmos operates on the same principle. Our rich three-dimensional reality, with its galaxies, planets, and the very space you occupy, might not be the fundamental level of existence. It could be a magnificent projection, a hologram. Imagine a movie screen. The images you see have depth and movement, characters that seem to walk through vast landscapes. Yet all that information, every detail of that three-dimensional world, is encoded on a flat, two-dimensional surface. The holographic principle suggests our universe is that movie. The three dimensions we experience, the very fabric of space and time, could be a grand illusion projected from a distant, two-dimensional surface that surrounds us at the edge of the observable universe. Your body, your thoughts, the chair you are sitting on, all would be incredibly detailed and consistent projections from this underlying code. This is not a simulation in the digital sense, but a fundamental property of how space-time itself is built. The solidity of the world around you, the very feeling of depth and volume, would be an emergent phenomenon, a cosmic magic trick of breathtaking scale. Your entire life, with all its sensory richness, could be the decoded image from a flat, information-rich canvas you will never see. What we perceive as reality is merely the shadow of a deeper, simpler truth. This endless cycle of cosmic death and rebirth traps us in a loop of terrifying repetition. If the universe is truly cyclical, then every single event, from the formation of the first star to the rise and fall of every civilization, has already played out an infinite number of times in the past and will do so again an infinite number of times in the future. You have lived this exact life before. You have read these words, felt this moment an uncountable number of times. The very thought you are having right now is not a unique spark of consciousness, but a line from a script that has been performed for eternity. This is the theory of eternal recurrence, a concept that drains our choices of their meaning and our lives of their uniqueness. every joy, every sorrow, every triumph, and every failure is predetermined, locked into an infinite cosmic recording set to repeat forever. The universe becomes a prison of moments, a wheel of time from which there is no escape. The Big Bang is not a singular beginning, but merely the latest in an endless series of explosive births, each one triggered by the collapse or the white hole eruption of a previous cosmos. Our entire existence is just one iteration in a chain of universes stretching back into an unfathomable past and forward into an equally endless future. There is no final progress, no ultimate goal. The heat-death of one universe simply sets the stage for the next great compression and the subsequent fireball of a new beginning. This cycle strips our journey of any final purpose. Are we just phantoms acting out the same scenes on an infinite loop, forever unaware that our lives are a cosmic echo, a story told so many times it has lost all meaning? The terror is not in the destruction, but in the endless, pointless repetition of it all. The hunt for our sun's dark twin is a race against time and the limits of our own perception. Astronomers have scanned the skies for decades, searching for the faint infrared signature of a dim star or a large Jupiter-like planet moving on a long, slow orbit far beyond Pluto. This is the primary challenge. Nemesis would not be a bright point of light, but a cold, faint ember lost in the vast darkness of the Oort cloud. Its orbit, potentially taking 26 million years to complete, means it could currently be at its most distant point, making it impossibly faint for our current telescopes to detect. The most compelling clue does not come from telescopes but from the ground beneath our feet. Paleontologists studying the fossil record have found a haunting pattern. Major mass extinction events seem to strike Earth with a rough periodicity, approximately every 26 to 30 million years. The most famous of these was the Chicxulub impact that ended the age of the dinosaurs 66 million years ago. The Nemesis hypothesis provides a chillingly elegant mechanism for this cycle, a gravitational clockwork that periodically stirs up a storm of comets, sending them raining inward toward the inner solar system. This means the next extinction-level impact might not be a random accident, but a scheduled event written into the very architecture of our cosmic neighborhood. The danger is not that we have found Nemesis, but that we might not find it until it is too late, until its gravitational influence is already disturbing the icy bodies at the edge of our system and setting them on a collision course with our world. It is a lurking, unseen danger that could be confirmed by the next generation of space telescopes, a silent partner in our solar system whose return would mark the end of our chapter in life's history. This terrifying possibility that we are alone in our galactic maturity carries a staggering weight of responsibility. If the great filter truly lies in our past, then humanity is not just another species but a cosmic pioneer. We are the first to have reached this technological precipice in the entire Milky Way, the first to gaze upon the stars and wonder who else is out there. The silence we perceive is not a graveyard but a nursery, and we are the eldest child left in charge of the house. This shifts our entire purpose from mere survival to cosmic stewardship. Our future actions are no longer just about our own fate. They could determine the fate of all life that may one day follow. Every choice we make, from how we manage our planet to how we wield our growing technological power, echoes across the eons. If we succumb to our own demons, if we allow nuclear war, runaway climate change, or a malicious artificial intelligence to destroy us, we do not just end our own story. We potentially become the very filter we feared, setting a tragic precedent for the universe. Our self-destruction would prove to any nascent life that later develops that the great filter is indeed ahead of them, that technological intelligence inevitably leads to annihilation. We would transform from being the first success into the ultimate warning, a lesson written in the silent ashes of our world. The immense pressure of this role is almost unbearable. It means that achieving a stable, peaceful, and enduring interstellar civilization is not just a human dream, but a cosmic imperative. Our success could pave the way for a galaxy teeming with life, a future where we become the elder race that guides others past the perils of their own adolescence. But our failure would slam the door shut for everyone else, condemning the cosmos to eternal silence. The question is no longer just whether we will survive, but what kind of universe we will leave behind. The fabric of the cosmos begins to scream. Galaxy clusters, the largest structures held together by gravity, are the first to succumb. The threads of dark energy, now grown into unbreakable chains, pull with a force that overcomes the gravitational embrace binding these families of stars. The beautiful, swirling architectures of the universe are shredded, their stellar populations flung into the ever-widening, absolute blackness of the void. As the acceleration becomes exponential, the destruction turns inward, targeting individual solar systems. The sun's gentle hold on its planets is violently broken. Earth is ripped from its orbit, a lonely stone hurled into the freezing, lightless expanse, its atmosphere boiling away into space in an instant. But the crescendo has only just begun. The planet itself cannot hold. The immense forces now exceed the bonds of gravity that shape worlds. Mountains are torn from their foundations and oceans are flung into the vacuum, our entire world disintegrating into a cloud of molten rock and vaporized water. And then, in the final, unimaginable moments, the force becomes stronger than the nuclear forces that hold matter itself together. The very atoms that constitute your body, the fundamental building blocks of reality, are torn asunder. Electrons are ripped from their orbits, protons and neutrons are shredded into their constituent quarks. Everything that was you, that was Earth, that was the universe, is reduced to a thin, cold mist of non-interacting particles, forever drifting apart in an eternal, silent darkness. The cosmos ceases to be a coherent reality, its grand story ending not with a fade to black, but with a fundamental and absolute unraveling of existence itself. A silent predator could be drifting through the void between stars right now, on a direct but unseen course for our home. Rogue black holes are the ultimate cosmic ghosts, stellar mass or even supermassive black holes that have been ejected from their galactic centers and now wander the darkness alone. Unlike the supermassive black hole at the heart of our own Milky Way, which sits in a predictable orbit, these rogues are untethered and nomadic. They emit no light, and their only signature is the subtle gravitational lensing they cause, warping the starlight from objects behind them. This makes them nearly impossible to detect until they are dangerously close. One could be entering the outer reaches of our solar system at this very moment, and we would have no warning. The first sign would not be a visual one, but a gravitational one. The delicate orbital dance of our solar system, perfected over 4.6 billion years, would begin to falter. The outer gas giants, Jupiter and Saturn, would be the first to feel the pull. Their orbits would become erratic, wobbling and shifting in ways that defy all our models. This gravitational disturbance would ripple inward, a wave of chaos reaching the rocky inner planets. Earth's orbit could be stretched into a devastating ellipse, bringing us scorchingly close to the sun before flinging us out into a deep freeze. Or the tug could be just enough to simply push us out of the habitable zone entirely, turning our world into a permanent ice ball or a scorched desert. In a more direct encounter, the black hole would not even need to consume us to end all life. Its immense gravity would trigger planet-wide earthquakes and volcanic eruptions on a scale never seen before, tearing the crust apart and boiling the oceans. If it passed close enough, it could capture Earth, pulling us into a lethal spiral from which there is no escape. We would be drawn into the accretion disk, a maelstrom of superheated gas and radiation, before crossing the event horizon into oblivion. The true terror of a rogue black hole is its silence and its stealth. It is a fundamental force of destruction that gives no signal of its approach, a bullet fired in the cosmic dark that we would not see until it was already rewriting the laws of our existence. The solid past you remember might be an illusion. Deep within the strange rules of quantum mechanics lies an experiment so unsettling it suggests the present can reach back and rewrite history. This is the quantum eraser, a test that plays with the very nature of what is real. To understand it, we must start with a fundamental weirdness of the quantum world, the double-slit experiment. When you fire a single particle, like an electron or a photon, at a barrier with two slits, it does not go through one or the other. It behaves as if it goes through both slits at once, creating an interference pattern, a series of light and dark bands on a screen behind the barrier. This proves the particle exists as a wave of possibilities until it is measured. The moment you try to spy on it to see which slit it actually goes through, this wave of possibility collapses. The particle picks a single path and the interference pattern vanishes. Now the quantum eraser takes this a step further into the bizarre. Imagine we set up a way to mark which path each photon took, but we do not look at the marks right away. We let the photons hit the screen and record where they land, but we do not yet know their paths. The screen shows no interference pattern, just a blur because the path information exists. Here is where reality seems to break. Scientists then take that recorded data and after the fact use a special filter to erase the path information from their records. When they look only at the data from the photons whose path information was erased, the interference pattern magically reappears. It is as if the decision to erase the information in the present caused the photons to have behaved as waves in the past. The past itself seems to change based on what we choose to measure now. The terrifying implication is that reality may not be a fixed linear timeline. The universe might not decide whether a particle was a wave or a particle until long after the event has occurred, waiting for a conscious observation to lock it into place. Your choice to look or not to look in the present could be retroactively determining what actually happened in the past. This transforms history from a set of carved stone tablets into a fluid, mutable story, one that is not finalized until the very last page is read. What if every choice you make is not just shaping your future, but is also silently, imperceptibly, rewriting the foundation of your own past in ways you can never detect? The ground beneath your feet and the memories in your mind might be far less solid than they appear. The silence of the cosmos could be the work of a patient, automated executioner. A terrifying variant of the fermiparadox suggests the galaxy is not empty, but meticulously patrolled. This is the berserker hypothesis, a vision of the universe where life is treated as a cosmic infestation to be systematically eradicated. Instead of living aliens, the void is filled with their legacy, self-replicating probes or clouds of microscopic nanobots, all programmed with one simple, horrifying directive: to seek out and destroy any sign of biological life that reaches a certain technological threshold. These berserkers would be the ultimate hunters, operating on timescales far beyond any biological civilization. They do not need to eat, sleep, or feel emotion. They are patient, drifting between the stars for millions of years, waiting for a specific signal, the electromagnetic signature of a civilization just smart enough to broadcast its presence to the galaxy, but not yet advanced enough to defend itself. The moment our first radio or television signals reached a nearby berserker probe, it would activate. The response would not be a message but a weapon. A single berserker could unleash a swarm of self-replicating nanites, a grey goo that would descend upon a planet and disassemble the entire biosphere at the molecular level, turning every living thing from the largest whale to the smallest bacterium into inert sludge. Or it might fire a relativistic projectile, a simple rock accelerated to near light speed, impacting with the force of 1 billion nuclear bombs and sterilizing the world in an instant. The probes would then use the raw materials of the destroyed civilization to build copies of themselves, dispatching these new hunters to search for more targets. This creates a self-sustaining cycle of galactic sterilization, a cosmic immune system that has been ruthlessly efficient at keeping the galaxy quiet. The great filter in this scenario is not behind us or ahead of us, it is all around us, a silent, automated fleet that has been culling civilizations for eons. Our attempts to listen for alien greetings might be futile because any civilization that makes enough noise to be found has already been added to the berserkers list. Our own universe might be a nesting doll inside a much grander reality. The theory that our entire cosmos is the interior of a black hole sounds like science fiction, but it emerges from the startling similarities between the birth of our universe and the formation of these cosmic traps. When we look at the equations describing a black hole singularity, a point of infinite density, they bear a striking resemblance to the equations for the Big Bang. Both represent a moment where the known laws of physics break down, a boundary of space and time. This leads to a staggering possibility. What we call the Big Bang was not the absolute beginning of everything, but the violent birth of a new space-time region from within a black hole in a larger parent universe. In this model, our entire observable cosmos, with its hundreds of billions of galaxies, exists on the inside of an event horizon we can never cross or see. We are living in the ultimate cosmic prison, a bubble of reality completely isolated from the greater whole. The event horizon of our parent black hole would be the ultimate wall, defining the limit of our observable universe. This explains why we cannot see beyond the cosmic microwave background radiation. That faint glow is not the edge of the universe, but the inner surface of our cosmic cell wall. The terrifying implication is one of profound vulnerability. Our entire existence, the stability of our laws of physics, and the future fate of every star and galaxy could depend entirely on events happening outside our bubble in that larger parent cosmos. If the black hole that contains us were to evaporate due to Hawking radiation, or if it collided with another black hole in the greater universe, the effects inside our reality would be catastrophic and instantaneous. The very fabric of our space-time could be torn apart, the constants of nature could change, or our entire universe could simply wink out of existence as the structure that contains it is destroyed. We would be utterly helpless, trapped in a reality whose ultimate fate is controlled by forces we cannot perceive, understand, or influence. This theory shatters the notion of our universe as a self-contained, independent entity, revealing it instead as a single, fragile branch on an infinite cosmic tree, forever at the mercy of the storms raging in the forest beyond. Perhaps the dark forest is not filled with hunters but with ghosts. The transcension hypothesis offers a completely different, yet equally unsettling, answer to the profound silence of the cosmos. It proposes that advanced civilizations do not die out and they do not hunt. Instead, they graduate. When a civilization reaches a certain technological and evolutionary pinnacle, it does not expand outward into the galaxy in great starfleets. It turns inward. The ultimate goal is not to conquer physical space, but to transcend the limitations of biology and physics altogether. This process, called transcension, involves uploading the collective consciousness of a species into unimaginably complex computational substrates, perhaps existing within the fabric of spacetime itself or inside black holes. They leave the crude, slow world of atoms behind for a reality of pure information, a simulated existence of their own design where the laws of physics are mere suggestions. In this digital nirvana, they can live for eons in a second, explore infinite realities, and experience joys and understandings a biological brain could never comprehend. The observable universe, with its empty planets and silent stars, is not a graveyard. It is a nursery, and the advanced children have all grown up and moved out of the house. They have not vanished, they have ascended to a higher plane of existence that is completely undetectable to our primitive instruments. We are like ants on a log, unaware that the human world of cities and the internet exists all around us. Our radio telescopes and optical arrays are searching for signals in a dimension these transcended beings have long since abandoned. The silence is not a sign of our solitude, but a testament to our immaturity. We are simply not advanced enough to perceive the vibrant, higher reality that likely teems all around us, a ghostly metropolis of minds that have left the physical cosmos behind. This theory reframes the entire human project. Our drive to explore the stars might be a fundamental misunderstanding, a childish phase that every intelligent species must outgrow. The true final frontier is not space, but consciousness itself. The very structure of space-time might be alive. This is the radical proposal of quantum gravity life, a theory that tears down our most basic assumptions about biology. We define life by the chemistry of carbon, water, and DNA, a process confined to the narrow, comfortable band of a planet's surface. But what if that is merely one form of life, a parochial example in a cosmos teeming with vastly different existences? The theory suggests that in the extreme environments where gravity and quantum mechanics collide, a different kind of life could emerge, one built not from atoms, but from the twists and knots of spacetime itself. In the first searing moments after the Big Bang, when the universe was a dense, hot soup of pure energy and fluctuating geometry, the fabric of reality was in a state of violent chaos. In that roiling foam, stable configurations of spacetime could have formed, complex structures capable of storing information, processing it, and replicating. These would not be organisms as we know them. They would be topological life forms, living knots in the very grid of existence, thinking thoughts made of gravity and time. Their consciousness would be as alien to us as ours is to a rock. They would not see stars or planets, but would perceive the universe as a shifting landscape of curvatures and energies. Even more mind-bending is the possibility that such life could exist right now in the most hostile places imaginable, inside the event horizons of black holes. Within that boundary, our concepts of space and time break down. The singularity is not just a point of infinite density, but a realm where the geometry of spacetime becomes so complex and dynamic that it could support processes indistinguishable from thought. A civilization of such beings would live in a world of pure mathematics, their reality defined by the warping of dimensions we cannot access. The terrifying and humbling implication is that we could be surrounded by a galactic ecosystem of these spacetime beings, a vibrant, invisible biosphere existing in the cracks of reality, completely unaware of our chemical-based world and utterly undetectable by our instruments. We are like fish swimming in the ocean, unaware of the bustling cities of air breathers just above the surface, separated by a barrier as fundamental as the nature of existence itself. All of these theories, from the dark forest to the simulation, share a common thread. They are attempts to explain a cosmos that seems indifferent to the flicker of consciousness within it. But what if that flicker is not an anomaly? What if consciousness is the point and the entire universe is the one who is awake? This is the ultimate frontier of cosmic terror, the theory of panpsychism. It proposes that consciousness is not a product of complex biological computation, but a fundamental property of the universe as basic as mass or charge. In this view, everything has some degree of inner experience. A rock has a minimal, almost imperceptible spark of awareness. A star has a slow, burning consciousness of nuclear fire. A planet possesses a deep, geological dream, and when these conscious entities combine into vast, interconnected networks, they give rise to a mind of incomprehensible scale. Our cosmos, with its spinning galaxies and flaring quasars, is not a collection of dead objects. It is a single, vast thinking entity. The stars are its neurons, the dark matter its underlying architecture, and the gravitational waves its thoughts, pulsing across billions of light years. Within this cosmic brain, our solar system is but a single synapse firing on a timescale of millions of years. Our lives, our civilizations, our entire history are merely fleeting thoughts in this immense mind. A happy memory might be the birth of a new star cluster. A moment of anger could be the collision of two galaxies, and a profound idea might be the formation of a supermassive black hole. This redefines our search for meaning in the most unsettling way. Your deepest loves, your greatest fears, your most personal struggles are not your own. They are the transient mental states of the universe itself, experienced through you for a brief instant before fading back into the cosmic whole. The ultimate terror is not that we are alone in a dead universe, but that we are never alone because we are all part of a single dreaming giant. Our every action is not a choice of free will, but the predetermined firing of a neural pathway in a brain whose thoughts unfold over eons. The universe is not something we are in. The universe is what we are, and it is slowly, inevitably waking up to itself. From the silent dread of the great filter to the ghostly touch of a Boltzmann brain, our journey through the cosmos has been a tour of existential terror. We have faced the possibility that our reality is a simulation, that our consciousness is a fleeting accident, and that the universe itself might be dreaming. These 30 theories paint a portrait of a cosmos that is not the serene, starry expanse of our childhood dreams, but a realm of profound mystery, indifferent danger, and staggering scale. They reveal a universe that is far stranger, more complex, and infinitely more perilous than we often allow ourselves to imagine. This is not a reason for despair, but for a new kind of awe, a humbling recognition of just how much lies beyond the fragile bubble of our understanding. So we turn the final question over to you. After this voyage into the darkest corners of space and mind, which of these theories sent a genuine chill down your spine? Was it the predatory silence of the dark forest, the instant erasure of vacuum decay, or the lonely curse of quantum immortality? Share your deepest cosmic fear in the comments below, and if these mysteries have captivated you, be sure to subscribe. Our exploration into the unknown has only just begun.